everyone, and welcome to Women Veteran Social Justice Network. I'm your host today, BriGette McCoy. I'm the CEO and founder of Women Veteran Social Justice Network, and I'm here today with one of our senior ambassadors, Angela Diaz. She's a wonderful, wonderful woman veteran in the community who's been supporting much of our programs and services since about 2011 or 12. She's been working with us both informally and then later formally as an ambassador. And so thank you so much for being here today, Angela.
I'm happy to be here and I'm very excited. I know you want to get right to it, but I just, thinking of going my brain back to our first interaction and just recognizing that when we were in that town hall meeting at the VA hospital in Atlanta, and we both were passionate about certain things. And when you saw me speak and I saw you speak, and then we immediately made a connection. You wanted names for people that were ready to get stuff done. And I was like, then you can have my name for sure.
Absolutely. And that's really the embodiment of the organization. We are a 100% volunteer organization. We've been continuing to do this. I started the organization in 2008, the end of 2008, the beginning of 2009. And I felt like there's got to be something better than what's out there. And if there isn't anything, why not? Let's just start with having women meet informally on Facebook and discuss things in the community and help each other through processes and, figure out, what resources and services there were. By the time you and I met, I was, fully engaged in the process and wanting to make sure that women veterans' voices were heard in prominent places, not just us talking to each other and saying how awful things were, but actually being involved in ways that we could, make sure that, ultimately an end goal, of better treatment, better services, better resources, and making changes. Yeah. Cultural change, social change, all of those things. And so it was great meeting you because you were very passionate. And I felt like if you had that passion for that particular moment, that if we could transfer that passion,
then
we could get some things done. And you've been instrumental. I think the first 3 or 4 events that I held, you began being hospitality for helping me pull things together to make things nice for other people, because I'm not all that great about that. I know I want to have an event. I know I want to support women vets. And I'm like, here's the place, here's the stuff. Can you make people feel welcome? And you're like, oh yeah, sure, I could do that. And
I just can't make balloon animals, but I can make other things happen though. So that's true. I admit to that.
So tell everyone a little bit about yourself, your service. Both of us are women veterans, and both of us served in the military. And I think post 9/11, pre 9/11, you served.
Pre 9/11, that's correct. I went in 1986 in the delayed entry program. Started basic training in 1987 while I was waiting, because I had waited that entire time for my job. And then I did get the job that I wasn't asking for, but it worked out to my favor. So that was great. On a very side note, I won't get too diverted, but I remember my first night of basic training. I had talked a friend of mine in back home. Life was just, not good for her. And I had talked her into going down to the recruiters and saying, try it, it might fit for you. You'll get some travel, adventure, education, and what have you. So she ended up leaving before I did, because she just was like, I do want all of that, and I'll just take any job. Anyway, so my first night of basic training, she had already been in a few weeks, and she was my dorm guard. And my personality, right? So she's looking at me and I'm looking at her, and she just sent me this mental telepathy direct message, oh God, please don't hug me. Please don't hug me. Please don't hug me. And for whatever reason, I was just so excited to see her, but I completely contained myself and did not hug her. And then the sad part of that story is we did not see each other again for about 8 years. It was crazy. But that's what the military does. It takes you on journeys and adventures. And, you know, you just have to look to the positive elements, the training, the education, the people that you get to meet, and the opportunities where you get to find out what you're truly made of, you know, not because of how they trained you, but because of what was inside of you that they reconfigured.
Cultivated. Yeah. They cultivated it. It's like, you know, yeah. Sorry to interrupt you.
That's all right. That's a great, I love that, cultivated. But there's another reason why that word kind of makes me giggle a little bit. That's another time, another story. It's funny though. But yeah, I love that word, cultivated the seed inside of me to blossom the way it did. So yes.
And I think for many of our senior ambassadors, the WVSJ does that again from a leadership perspective, giving people space to cultivate the and advance and become the next, you know, movement of leaders in the community through the projects and the resource, you know, the different services that we offer, like our retreats and our events. We used to have these meetups. I think when you initially signed on and became an ambassador, we were having a lot of meetups. Talk about that, you know, because that was a good.
I think I was able to get to a few of the meetups, but I was engaged in going back to school. And I do believe that a lot of the meetups and the interactions involved gathering together to just enjoy each other, and without talking about our experiences or our past, just knowing that we've been through something similar and making that question, can we do that? To we can do that, making it a statement, a bold statement, and then finding out what works best. And you and I have talked about this a lot. It's kind of like, you know, making that cake or that loaf of bread, you know. So if everybody wants a piece of that cake or a piece of that bread, they want to get involved with baking it, then bring an ingredient.
Yeah.
You know, if that's what you can do, bring your ingredient. Let's mix this cake, knead this bread, bake it, and then serve it. I mean, if nobody comes to the party beside us, then we get to enjoy it. And then we just figure the next time, well, nobody likes chocolate cake, so let's make pineapple upside down cake next time, so to speak.
Right.
We find a way. WVSJ, I have come to learn, finds a way to see what needs are not being met and finds a way to help people meet their needs. And it takes people such as myself, who's so afraid of technology. I had a flip phone forever and a day, to using, you know, a touch phone and actually saying, oops, hey, do you want to do the video version of this?
Yeah.
I think I totally shocked you when I asked that instead of being on the telephone, you know. But we've had some conferences and we've had some retreats and we've had some gatherings that I couldn't participate in, but I happily made donations for and was so excited that people got to participate that wouldn't otherwise have had that chance. And at any point in time, it's always a great experience because you just interact with other women that have been through being in the military. If that's the only thing that we share, then that's a great thing to share. Because
that's a big thing.
Yeah, it's a huge thing. There's not that many women. What is it? They say less than 3% of the population have actually served in the military. And of that 3%, I mean, it's a vignette of the regular population. So whatever is female is that smaller percentage that serve in the military. So
yeah, and I think that that's important to talk about is that, you know, less than 2 million women, well, there are 2 million women total, I think, that served.
Wow.
That, you know, currently living that have served. And so, of course, over, you know, the last 100 years or so, there's many more than that. But right now there's 2 million. And from that 2 million, I don't remember the numbers specifically, but there's a couple hundred, 400,000 or 500,000 are like currently serving. Mm-hmm. So that means like only 1.5 million are like veteran specific women who served.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's all the branches. That's
All the
Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, Coast Guard, 5 different. And so 1.5 million, you start breaking that down and breaking that down, you know, the numbers get even smaller and smaller depending on the branch that you're talking about. And so, you know, we're kind of like, when the family reunion happens with us, we get together, we kind of tease each other about, you know, you're the chair force and you're a squid and you're a this and you're a that, you know, crayons or whatever, you know, we kind of tease each other. But we consistently support one another.
Yes.
And through the resource, like I said, through the resources and having the different events. Remember the pinning ceremonies that we had?
Yes,
at one of the.
I love those pinning ceremonies. They're absolutely just like extremely special, you know. I just want to take 2 seconds, 2 steps back. I just on a funny pop-up thing was when we were at the last retreat, I think we had all branches of the military. Actually, I don't think there was somebody there from the Coast Guard, but we had the Army, the Air Force, the Marines, and the Navy all there at the retreat. And, you know, me being who I am, the silly person, we were heading out on a trail or going on a trail walk or whatever it was that we had planned. And I opened the door. So I had told the Marine, the young woman that's a Marine, I said, well, you go first. She goes, why do I need to go first? I'm like, you're a Marine, first in, you know. She's like, oh, yeah, because they had been really kind of picking on me until Miss Connie came, because I was in the Air Force. And I know how y'all feel about the Air Force, but anyways, that's fine with me.
Connie is going to definitely check everybody about the Air Force. She is definitely proud of her Air Force.
Oh, yeah. But I could take it. It was all good and fun. So when I told the Marine to go first, she's like, oh, she kind of hassled me. I said, that's right. I'm the Air Force. I'll provide the air cover for you all. And head out first. So, I mean, it's that kind of that rivalry, but camaraderie that reminds us we did something pretty significant. And I can almost guarantee you that I know almost every female that I know has been first for something in the military or in a role that they played, you know. And let's not minuscule that thing, you know, because we may not have been the first person to fly a plane or the first person, you know, to do something that they boost up in the news about, but we were first in a lot of ways, you know.
It's still a lot of firsts. I mean, we're finally getting into all of the different roles in the military. There's still women being the first to command certain types of units, or like you say, fly certain ships, or commandeer certain, fly certain aircrafts and command certain ships. So it's like, wow, this is 2020 and we're still having firsts. But I'm like, well, that's just the nature of what, you know, where we are. WVSJ was the first online support system for women veteran that was, you know, been recognized. There were plenty of organizations, and I say this to some of our women veteran who are, you know, WACs and things like that. They're like, we had organizations before you got here. And I'm like, I know you did, but you didn't have technology. So there's no way you could have been the first on technology, but you're the first. You spearheaded, you paved the path. You made it.
We appreciate that.
I was going to say, we appreciate that so much, because most of what I do is just a recapitulation of what they did, just using technology and making it more simplified so that we can reach bigger amounts of people in a shorter amount of time. We would not be the organization that we are if we did not have many of the women like yourself and like Diana, well, not yourself because you're not in that era, but like Diana Dennis, and I'm trying to think of everyone, and forgive me for those folks who are going to be watching who are like, how did you forget me? I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm drawing a blank, but
she's enamored by my beauty today.
I know. But I talk about, you know, a lot of our women veterans who came before us. We're always promoting the, you know, National Association of Black Military Women, because they take the history of women who served of color and make sure that that information goes out. We work with Unsung Heroes because they also take the history of women who served and through a partnership with us, make sure that those narratives are brought forward. We want to make sure that women veteran of all eras, all service times and all service branches are supported. And people don't understand. They're like, that's like, you're just saying the same thing over and over again. I was like, no, I'm not. Because all service times doesn't mean all service times. It means, there are different eras of service. Some people served in an era, and some people just served in from 1982 to 1984. And that's not an era. That's just service time, So it's like, it becomes so confusing. It's just easier to, like, let's make sure that every person who served in the military, who's a woman, who put the uniform on, doesn't matter what they called you, you are included in this group of people. And that includes women who've been homeless and who've experienced PTSD and MST. We made a space for women veteran who've had those experiences to share their experiences through being part of the community. But we don't make people respond and say that they're homeless or that they've had those experiences, because we want people to come into the space and meet each other. We don't put, people's rank on our name tags and tell people, oh, this is General JoJo and this is Lieutenant Colonel this. We just say, this is Susie Q. Army.
And I love that aspect of WVSJ, because what it does highlight, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, is that we are women who served.
Yes.
Exclamation point.
Period. Not OIF, not Post 9, not Grenada, none of that stuff. It's just, this is the uniform you wore, and this is your name.
Yeah.
That gives people an opportunity to talk.
Yes.
Because then you get to tell people who you are versus a little name badgy thing.
And we organize that, and I'm so delighted that I get to help with the podcast. And I know that survey kind of organizes and provides space for people to discuss the very specifics, like what was happening when you came in, why did you come in, was there an event in history that inspired you or encouraged you? And these things are good to know, because if we don't write down our history and have a safe space to hold it and to expand our narrative, then people don't know the whole story about all of us.
Yeah.
But the gist of WVSJ, for me at least, has always been, we are women that have served, and we are coming together to help each other with our skills, with our abilities, with our knowledges, from our experiences. And so, like I said, we changed that question, can we do it, to statement, we can do it,
We can do it, and we're going to. That's been a huge thing for me, because we haven't been federally funded, and a lot of times it's like you need air quotes dollars and cents to do things. But we've been successful getting a lot of stuff done with the limited amounts of air quotes financial resources, if you will.
Yes.
We are very industrious, because even though the financial part hasn't necessarily been there, we've been able to, through the ambassadors and senior ambassadors and our advisors, you guys are huge philanthropists, because most of the work that we get done, you guys take on a project and you say, we're going to all get together. I'm going to crowdsource and crowdfund this. I'm going to get the support over here from these organizations that I've already been working with. And then you say, well, we're ready. Let's go. When are we going to put the dates on the calendar? I'm like, wow, let's get it done. I mean, I think that first event we had, I call it the big event, when we went to Marlowe's Tavern, and we gave out the little dog tags, and we gave little cards that you made, and you made little gift baskets.
Yes.
And all of that was stuff that was donated to us by women veteran who wanted to make that experience nice. And then the women who came, they were willing to pay, like we paid like $20 or something like that for the food, but it covered our drinks and our tip. Everybody was like, oh, we got to tip the waitress. I was like, it's already been done. We've already covered it, and it was just such an amazing thing. And we, back then, women veteran were not meeting from an organizational point of view. Like there might be a couple of women veteran who knew each other and they get together and do stuff together. But to say an organization was like, we're going to get together and we're going to meet and we're going to do this thing, it was very limited, especially for Veterans Day. Yes. I think that was the key to it was, as a woman veteran, I always feel a little bit weird at Veterans Day.
Yes. Yes. Okay, I'll tell my story in a
Tell your
second.
story.
I just want to say this about that it's the difficult part is when we gather together, we kind of take a look around the room, and I'm sure other people have felt this, just like just blown away by all the different the variety of beings that have gathered together, us women that have gathered together just to show our support for one another. And each person has determined a way that they can help, if they can't be there, to donate something, if they can't donate something, to give $20 to just go towards something. And I
To
think
sponsor somebody who couldn't come yet, who wouldn't be able to attend. Yeah.
I think you're right about that. The Veterans Day, as long as we can strive to remind each other, we do get to celebrate Veterans Day, and we do get to underline the fact that we are women who have served. I've been to many a Veterans Day celebration. The best and my most favorite one, if I might give a shout out, North Cobb High School puts on the best Veterans Day breakfast and ceremony that I've ever been to in my life. Really,
we need an invite to that.
Yeah. Well, yes. Aside from the work that WVSJ does on Veterans Day, I know I went to the one where we had a young lady in the group of women that we are connected to when we first were together, and her daughter's school, a Christian school, had invited her and asked her to bring her friends with her because they wanted to celebrate women on Veterans Day.
Right.
Well, we went, and it was a very nice ceremony, but it was the usual, let's celebrate
the dudes,
in particular the dudes that went to combat and the ones that might be missing a limb. And I'm not trying to put humor on that. I'm sorry for veterans that have gone through something tragic and traumatic, and if they're still living, yes, on Veterans Day they should be honored. But I recall being asked by the person that made the big deal about inviting us, and I, being my diplomatic sweet self, explained to him, well, it was very nice, but you kind of left something out. And when he inquired what, I said, well, you invited us because you want to honor women, and you didn't have any women in your program or your ceremony. And he kind of, blinked. And I said, in particular, the woman that you hadn't invite us is a parent at your school, and she wasn't even in your slideshow. And he said, are you sure? And I'm just going to say it like it is. I'm like, I think I would recognize a young Black woman in the midst of white men's pictures.
Right.
Are you sure she wasn't in that? I'm very positive, sir. I mean, you had a 20-minute display of white men varying in ages.
Right.
And there was not one picture of your parent who is a young Black woman.
Not even a stock photo of a woman of color.
Nothing. And he kind of was perplexed, and he said, well, is there anything else? I said, well, if you're asking, you would very kindly use some Bible verses, but out of the 5 Bible verses, they were all about great men warriors in the Bible. You do know that there's some women warriors in the Bible too, though, right? And blink, and I wasn't trying to be rude, but he was asking for the critique. I said, if you want to celebrate veterans, celebrate veterans. Don't celebrate combat veterans, disabled veterans, white veterans, or Chinese veterans, or Spanish. Don't put a label on it. Celebrate veterans. And that's,
make it diverse, but make the presentation diverse so that it's inclusive of all veterans.
If that's what your presentation is, truly to celebrate veterans.
Veterans, yes. Mm-hmm.
And now when we do our things, we make it very clear this is a celebration of women veterans. So that might sound like, well, what about what you guys do? Well, we do that because there's not enough of it. When we go to the Let's Celebrate Veterans Day veterans, most of those veterans don't look like any of us.
Yeah.
They really don't. I mean, And so if we provide an opportunity to celebrate us, if it's on Veterans Day, great. If it's on a different day, that's okay too. But back to the original statement that you made, just the all-encompassing group of people that WVSJ covers and the work that they do and the way that they connect us is just amazing. Because if anybody feels left out, they're not paying attention.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and sometimes people just have that feeling of not being connected.
Mm-hmm.
And so you want to, you want to be supportive of folks, but you can't make someone feel connected. You can make the space, you can set the table, but the person has to, kind of let down their guard and be willing to step in, because we do not discriminate against women of varying backgrounds. I was asked by someone maybe 4 or 5 years ago, they were like, "Oh, you're not doing enough because you don't include trans women." I was like, "How do you know we don't include trans women? I've never seen a this or that or the other." I said, "Well, do you think it'd be appropriate for me to put a big poster up and say, we support trans women, and pull women out of our community who maybe don't want everybody to know that they're trans,
Mm-hmm.
and say, this person is a trans woman veteran?" I was like, so just like we don't do that with homeless women and we don't do that with women with MST, we definitely would not, put someone on display.
That would be up to the individual to say, I'm a member of WVSJ, I've participated in their programs and their projects. And as a trans woman, I feel connected and part of. If they want that message out there about themselves, and so that other trans women that have served in the military want to have an organization that they can feel connected to. And I don't want to say they're not paying attention. What I mean to say is, if they're either not really understanding our message, or they're not ready to receive our message or to sit at our table,
And to take on some of the weight of that. I have been very protective. You know how I am about our women veterans. So I am so protective that a lot of our media and our how we outreach and our presentations, I'm just very protective of, like, letting people tell their own narrative and not wanting anyone to feel obligated to have to tell their narrative because they feel like, oh, well, they did this for me, I have to go tell people that they did this. I want people to do that on their own. And so on the flip side, women veteran sometimes don't feel like their story or their narrative is important, so they don't always present it. And so it's kind of a double-edged sword for WVSJ, because we're not pressing people like some organizations, like, get on this brochure or whatever, on that aspect. And then on the other aspect, women veteran don't necessarily present their narratives just on their own. They have to sometimes be prompted to do so. So, and we've seen that consistently over the years. It's not something like you walk into a room, the guys are like, "Oh yeah, I served in whatever," and the women will say something if someone asks them, or if they're challenged, like, "Well, who are you?" Then they'll say, "Oh, I'm so and so," or "Why are you here? The wives are over there." And they're like, "I'm not a wife, I'm a veteran." It's that kind of a response. But my hope is that our women veterans, especially from WVSJ, feel more comfortable and more confident in having those conversations on the fly, so that it's not like a big deal. It's just a general conversation. I served in the military, I'm a woman veteran, blah, 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 blah.
Yep. And we were trained to think that the things that we've done were not that phenomenal. As women, I mean, there was no fanfare when we created or did something special. If you had people in your, I'll call it the organization, just for simplicity terms, because I know some people use, battalion or whatever, but just the military organization, if you had people that supported your work and helped you to shine, then that's awesome. That really is. Those are the type of women that are probably more free and willing to stand up and say, "I'll tell you what I did." But it's been my experience, I should say, that some of the phenomenal things were like, okay, no big deal, but nobody's done that in
right.
There's our X amount of time. Well, yeah, and you did it. So woohoo, let's throw a party. What do you want? A lollipop, you know? And then well, me, I shouldn't say you. Then I would feel guilty, like, no, I don't want a lollipop and I don't want a parade. But if you can just acknowledge that I did something pretty cool, you know, while you're all sitting around, I'm doing some cool stuff. So
I'm asking for the parade. I don't want to march though. I want to be in the car doing like this. But I'm saying we need it. You know, give us the parade. Give us the accolades. You know, we haven't had them, and don't make us this kind of workhorse kind of person to have to do all of this extra stuff to participate with you. If we're in an honored seat, the person who is being honored is honored. You it's just come sit down. We're here for you. We want to give you things. We want to honor you. We want to take this, you know. And I had an opportunity. One year I went to an event like that because I'm usually putting them on, but I'm not usually the one that gets to like just kind of sit back and participate. And I went to an event of a dear sister vet invited me to one down in Florida, and I'm trying to think of the name of the organization. It'll come to me in a second. But they basically, that's what they did. They treated us like, I say, like princesses. They were just like, oh, come over here, and we've got this for you, and we've got that for you, and we're going to treat you this way and treat you that way. And I think that was the first event that I went to, and I literally like cried. Like all of my pictures, my eyes are all watery, and I'm all puffy faced because I was the whole time crying because I was just so honored.
yeah.
They didn't say, oh, we're going to give the men veteran over here something, and then here's this little thing over here in the corner in the cut for women. They just brought us in, and when they said the veteran, we want our women and our men veteran to stand up. They're over there and they're over there. Go shake their hand and go say something to them. And I was just like, are you kidding me? What's happening? You know, because I had not had that, you know, kind of space.
That's a sounds like an amazing experience. So
Yeah.
and that's what WVSJ does, though. I mean, they let women know you are special, you know, and kind of full circle.
And you've been the main person to do that, though. In all of our events, you were the hospitality chair. You made sure the little and I say little touches, not to diminish the value of them, but just these little things that people are like, oh, this is nice, and like the little stones we had on the thing, and people were like so caught up with that, and we were like, you can take one with you, and they were like, oh, I can take one, like I can have that, you know. And
I almost had to force people. I mean, not because they didn't want them, but they were just showing such disbelief. I can get to keep this. Yes,
yeah,
you get to keep
yours. You can take it with you. And when we gave the lapel pins, people were like, this is for me.
Yes.
Even the men that attended were like, had these looks on their faces like, oh, I get to pin. I've never got to pin someone anything. Oh, I get to pin someone. And then the women were like, I never got to pin someone. I get to pin someone. It was like, you could feel the energy of everyone. Just kind of like,
that was great. That was
awesome. Just kind of, and even the pictures from it were amazing. You could just see the looks on people's faces, like of just feeling honored in both spaces. Both people were felt that, and so it felt like it elevated everyone to this space of like being grateful and also being welcomed. I think it felt like people felt like I am absolutely welcomed here. I'm supposed to be here, and so those were good things. So
that was a beautiful event. That was so, the food, everything, all the different breakout classes and the speakers and the
of course, because it was at your school.
Yeah,
that was at Kennesaw.
That was a bonus. So it was. Was.
Kennesaw State University, and we still.
Whoop, whoop.
Yep, and they also gave us we have on demand. You can go watch the classes and the workshops at on the website for Kennesaw.
I remember they did that. That was so cool that they set that up. So
so it was amazing to be able to ask them for something, and then they were like, we don't know if we could do that, and then do it, you know, and make it available.
We can do
it, right? And then we were able to give students, probably 20 some odd students, because I don't remember how many, so forgive me, an opportunity to to work and participate in a nationally televised conference for women veteran at a major university. How many students in college get an opportunity to put that on their resume?
That's an awesome resume bullet point. It really is. I mean,
right. And I was excited about the conference, but the fact that they were going to give us students, I was like, yes, we're getting to impact the next generation. You know, we're getting ready to, you know, broadcast stuff all over the country. We're going to have women veteran, you know, be the facilitators of a national conference, and they're going to be televised. I was like, this is it, you know, and it was a big deal.
And it's better than being 6 degrees from Kevin Bacon. They are now 1 degree from BriGette McCoy. What?
Right. I will own that. Thank you. I will own that. They are 1 degree. And it's funny because when I started at Georgia State, I ran into a couple of students who were in the honor guard.
Yes.
For that event. And so it's just like,
you know, the honor guard ceremony. I mean, I'm just getting misty just thinking about it. It just touches my heart when people put that flag front and center and are so in tune with how it needs to be treated, you know, and they treated us at an elevated level that they did the flag.
Yes.
That was just so special to have that. It really was.
An all woman color guard. Yep. and so again, the next generation of military women were coming into contact with women they would have never gotten to meet or never gotten to know about, to create more opportunities for their future. You know, it was like, this is a big deal. And so, you know, I was very thrilled to do that. It was a lot of work. A lot of work for a very nimble team of women veteran, because I think it was 6 of us that were on that team that year that put it together.
I think so. There was yourself and Christy, George.
Okay. Teresa. Connie. You.
Me. And was there one other person?
There's somebody else I'm missing.
We said all these names, and please don't get upset with us. We're not.
I know. We're not. I mean, and you know, Christine Vassar, and then we had our junior ambassadors back then, which was Sarah, and then Aisha. They were both were working with us, and Kitty. It was Kitty, so it was 8.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think my daughter came and helped too. But she did come and help. Because my sister, her Aunt Regina, came and helped also.
That's right. That's right.
Service from AT&T.
Right. That is correct. So, for the big events, the participating in the event, but the planning part, it was about 6 of us, right?
Yes.
It was 6 of us. So I think Christy, Christine, you, myself, Connie, and whoever else, and Teresa. There was somebody else. Lori. I forgot all about Lori. She was tech. She was handling all our tech stuff. She did all our PowerPoint presentations and everything. Yeah. So forgive us, Lori, for not having your name on there. Yeah.
Lori.
Yeah. So all of those folks participated and made sure that the work got complete. Got the planning part. We started. It was Christy and just a few of us, and then it blossomed, and other people came on board and supported. Papa George always helps us make sure that we have, gift baskets and little neat things to support.
Air Force?
Air Force. Yep. He's Air Force. So we'll give y'all that.
Air Force, yeah.
We'll give y'all that. So yeah. So tell us a little bit about how excited you were to hear about the 2020 honor that WVSJ is getting.
You could have knocked me over with a feather, really and truly. I mean, I know people use that term, and I thoroughly, everybody means it. I mean, I really, with full heart, mean it. I was just so ecstatic, and any chance I get, I tell people, by the way, did you know I'm an ambassador, senior ambassador for WVSJ, an organization that recently won, a Medal of Honor for their, work that they do in the community. They, what? Like, yeah.
A woman veteran organization
A
of all things.
women veteran organization who has been in the trenches and just doing the work and connecting people. So on a side note, anybody watching this should know that you can get involved at any level. Jet and I have talked about this many a time. There might be a list of 10 things that need to get done, and they might not need to be all done together. If you're honest and you say, I can't do all of those together, that's fine. Go on to somebody else that can. But if the list can be broken apart and all you can do is one of those things, then come on, do one or two of those things on that list and, be part of an organization that's continuously growing in creativity and assisting, finding new ways to assist women veterans and using technology. And you might say, well, what's the big deal about that? That's a huge element in an organization, a veterans organization. It truly is. Because you're not just selling cupcakes, not that there's anything wrong with that. You're not just asking for donations for posies, and there's nothing wrong with that. You're rolling up your sleeves, finding all the assets and the ways to connect veterans in their community, in their state, in the United States, across the world, all the various things that all they got to do is click to
Right.
be directly connected to. And that's a bonus that WVSJ provides. That's an amazing service. And it's no wonder that you all won the award that you won, the Medal of Honor, because the things that you do and the work that gets done by you as the CEO and founder and by the ambassadors is tremendous. And there's not one small job. It's all part of the big puzzle. So that clearly becomes seen whenever we're working on something. It looks like an abstract art piece at first, and then we're like, oh, I know what that is now. When you put that last piece of puzzle and all falls together. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah, that's always funny to me when we get together and we're doing a presentation and one of the ambassadors will turn and look and go, I didn't know we do that. I'm like, yeah, we do. It's like you don't have to be involved in every little moving piece. It's just like at the same time, you're a part of this collective impact that is going on, is going forward. So, some people are doing the retreats and that's what they're doing. And some people are writing papers and, getting stuff published and helping with research and helping to engage the community and trying to, work with organizations so that they promote a visible presentation of women veteran in a better way. I mean, there's like all of these different things going before the government, talking about policy, meeting with other organizations to tell them about what the work that we do as an organization and why they should be committed to the mission. Because if they're serving veteran, then that are part of our mission should be part of their mission. Because if they have women veteran, they should be making sure that women veteran are honored and appropriately welcomed in their organizations.
Amen. And just to speak to that, that's perfectly fine if they just want to, small categorize the population that they serve. If they only want to help, female veterans that served directly after 9/11, I don't really have an issue with that. I really don't. But if they kind of have a woman that says, you're the only organization that's kind of listed dealing with some of the stuff that I'm going through, but you can't help me because I don't meet your criteria. These organizations should be willing to say, well, we have just the organization for you. The Medal of Honor recipient,
Right. Right.
Because they serve all different women in all different ways. And if they don't have a program or a project or something to connect you to, they definitely have somebody that has that asset for you. So
yeah. And if we don't have it, that person can come and if they are willing and passionate and motivated, they
Yes.
can come and begin the process and start that program themselves
That
and
is true.
support that. Because I'm always right. I'm like, what do you want to do?
I can
Tell me what's on your heart.
Yeah, I could testify to that. And trust you me, if you're passionate about something and you want to get it done and you have a plan and you have a group of people that are willing to help you put your plan in action, but you have to come with a plan and also be prepared to make adjustments and changes and to recognize, well, that's not the way I thought this plan was going to look after all, and make an adjustment for how you think the plan will best work.
Because sometimes people will come and they'll like, well, I thought you were gonna like, I think they feel like I'm just gonna give them everything and they just show up. And I'm like, no, that wouldn't be your program then. That would be my program, and you're there managing it or watching it. I don't know what you'd be doing, but if it's your program, you got to go out there and hustle. You got to raise the money. You got to go out there and get the people to participate. You got to set up the respondents to get, to connect to so people can participate. You got to do all the moving pieces. So you have to be deeply involved in the design, the development, the planning, and the implementation. And
Correct.
then coming back and doing the after action review so that you can refine that project so that you can make it better.
Part is the after action review and report that you create. And one thing that I did learn from WVSJ is never fear, a couple of things actually. Never fear hearing the word no. Right. Because if you ask somebody, I would like you to make a donation or sponsor this project that WVSJ, a Medal of Honor Award recipient.
Well, make sure that you say the citizens. What is it? The citizens. There's a disclaimer in there I want to say because the Medal of Honor is only for those who have served in war or something gallantly, and the citizens honor is the citizens honor. The medal is for
the Citizens Medal of Honor. Yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What I have learned is to not be afraid of the answer no. I mean, that just saves time. It really does. If they say no right away, boom, you move on. You move on to the next person, number one. Number two, they're not saying no to you, so why take it personal? They're saying no for whatever reason. No, they don't want to support an amazing organization that helps women veterans. I don't know why, but they have their reasons. And that's okay. So
I'm gonna take you out on the road.
They're not judging me, and I'm not judging them. That's perfectly fine. But it's okay to come forward every once in a while. You know me, I like to be in the background, but it's okay to come forward every once in a while.
And I appreciate you doing that with us today, because I know that this is a big deal for you to come forward. But I perceive this is an opportunity for you to really highlight the work that you've been doing and, the engagement that you've had with the organization. And at the same time, help us as an organization promote the work that we've been doing. I mean, we don't always, we don't have commercials coming on talking about how great we are and what we've done. And so we have to be the ones to talk about how great we are and the work that we've done in the community. So that, when people question it and say, you aren't doing anything, what are you doing? And we have like this long list of things, like a 45-minute presentation about what we've been doing. People say, I didn't know that. And it's like, okay, well, maybe that's on me as the CEO. I need to let people know this more.
It's okay to it's funny story. When I was in the Air Force and I was up for Airman of the Quarter, we have to meet a board, we have to present ourselves in the uniform, and then we get asked a series of questions. A lot of times it'll involve like our specific job fields, and then military questions, and then tell us something about yourself. And you're not going to believe that I did this, but it's true. I do admit it. I knew who I was going up against, and I just felt like I deserved it more than the other people, because I had worked hard, and I was at a point while I was in the military of just dealing with silly nonsense, like having a conversation with one other person who says something to me. And if I report it, who are they going to believe, me or the higher ranking person?
Right.
For example, pulling me in a room and saying, there's a promotion coming up and we're not going to promote you, even though you do better work than the guy. We just like the guy better. Yeah, that's a different story. But anyways, yeah. I know you. I know you're like blink, blink, but I know you're not surprised to hear that. This is something that is not uncommon.
No, I'm not surprised.
Yes. So when I went up, I said, well, you know what? I kind of deserve this, so I'm just going to tell it like it is. And they said, well, tell us about yourself and why do you think you deserve the Airman of the Quarter? So I told them about myself, and then when I summed it up, and I said, basically, I'm one heck of an airman, so that's why I think I deserve it.
Are you kidding me? And it had great outcomes, I'm sure.
I did get Airman of the Quarter, but one of the persons on the board walked up to me afterwards and said, why would you tell us you're one heck of an airman? And I said, well, I didn't swear. I just told you the truth about myself. It popped into my head and I felt you deserved to know it. So, I mean, how else could I sum up how amazing I am?
Right.
Besides just telling you. And so, yeah, but I did end up getting, but he was kind of perplexed why I would say, I guess he was affected by the word heck, one heck of an airman.
If after all of the tremendous work and that you've done and all of the information that you shared with them, that they would get hung up on the word heck, then it was, I don't know that it was.
I didn't drop an F-bomb and I didn't say H-E double hockey sticks. I said heck, I'm one heck of an airman,
Yeah, I don't, that focus, again, a lot of times we experience these kind of microaggressions as women serving, that things that men say and do
all the time.
No problem, nothing, not even a blink. We even go in that direction. They're like, what are you doing? I can't believe you're doing that. It's like, did you train me? You trained me. So I'm operating in the skills the way that you trained me to operate in them. So if you're surprised by my behavior and the way that I present, then guess what? Senior sergeant, senior master, such and such.
Yeah.
This is what you did. You did it. So untrain me and train me the way you want a woman to respond. Because this is what you trained. And that's one of the things sometimes the men in the civilian sector get a little frustrated with me about, because when they start talking about, oh, she came in here and she was arrogant. I said, really? Well, you trained us.
That's interesting.
I said, that's what I say. I said, well, you trained us.
Showed me how it goes down. So I just did what you showed me.
Yeah, I think most of us were trained by men. Wouldn't you agree? When I say that, they look real funny, like, uh-oh. I must have said the wrong thing. What's getting ready to happen? I'm like, wouldn't you agree that most women were trained by men?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Well, great. That means that we picked up some of the inherent skills that you all operate in every day.
Oh, yeah.
And maybe you don't notice it, but we took it as that was part of the training. And so we're operating in it in that same vein.
You call it, but I'm arrogant. That's interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting, right? So I always remind our male counterparts that we were more likely than not trained by a man. At some point of our baby part of our career, the advanced part of our career, there was some type of influence.
Oh yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
So I think that once we can get over that hump, I think we'll be, as a group of people, veteran in general, will be better. I think that once
you're remaining your true, authentic self, and saying what you mean and meaning what you say, walking the walk and talking the talk. In a very similar situation, I was in combat camera and we had two different cameras. One was, and I know you know the technicalities of this, but one was a tube camera, which needed adjustment because when tubes shake, they go out of alignment. And the other one was a transistor chip camera, which is what computer technology is based on. So you can sway that thing around and nothing happens. It doesn't really need alignment.
Right.
So when they had a job come up to take the old equipment or the new equipment, they said I couldn't go because it was to a very nice place, you know. They wanted to send somebody else, the sunny beaches of wherever.
Right.
But and like literally, I think it was a week or two later, this other job came up, same camera, still no training on this newfangled camera that doesn't really need alignment, it just needs cleaning. Sucking sand in the desert over in Palm Desert, whatever Marine base was in California.
Right.
And they said, well, actually, we've changed our mind. It doesn't really need a whole lot of training. You can just keep it clean and you can go on the job. And I just very politely, diplomatically said, well, that's great. It'll be a wonderful experience and I'm happy to have it. Mm-hmm. And I promise you a couple of things. One, I'm going to do an awesome job. Two, I'm still going to have a good time while doing a great job. And three, the commander is going to call you and rave about me when I get back. Do you know what happened? Mm-hmm. That commander called about a week later after we returned, called my supervisor and said, Airman Dyer was simply amazing. She was an inspiration out here. She did her job and she participated in everything we asked her to do. And she was just so amazing to watch. I mean, I wasn't even connected to the unit. They deployed us attached to them kind of to document what they were doing. He said, like, she inspired my troops to just stay positive in the field and you know, not get overwhelmed. And my supervisor was laughing. He thought this was funny that the commander would call. I said, when he was telling everybody about it, kind of like poking fun about it, I said, well, I told you I was going to do a great job and have fun and be raved about. And that's exactly what I did. So being true to what you can do and getting it done is what's, to me, most important. And that's why WVSJ, a recent Citizen Medal of Honor recipient, deserves that Citizen's Medal of Honor because we do tremendous work, no matter how big or small our parts or our roles are. You know, I am grateful that you started and stuck with something that gave women such as myself, women veterans such as myself, an outlet to join in and to play a small part or a big part in some cases.
Big part, big part. Thank you so much, Angie. Well, let me say Angela. I call you Angie, so everybody.
We don't want to confuse anybody, whoever's listening. Half of you probably know me as Angie. Half of you know me as Angela.
Yeah.
But if you think you saw this face on a post office wall, it's not me.
Right. It wasn't you. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and telling us a little bit about, you know, your experience with Women Veterans Social Justice Network and your work as a senior ambassador with us. You've done some tremendous things within the organization, and my hope is once we get some things up and running to be able to highlight more of our ambassadors for their community service and their philanthropy. It's a very important mission for me as a CEO to do, but also making sure that my sister veteran are getting appropriately honored and welcomed into the community as subject matter experts in community service. So Thank you again for everything.
My joy and my honor. Thank you for having me today.
Yes, I'm going to go ahead and stop recording this second.
Okay.